What up, people of the world? Welcome back to Knell of St. Godhrkar. We are on day 3. We've just started day 3, so we're going to dive straight into it. The last thing that happened is the police officer, Urchwin, arrested the maximalist for starting and inciting a rebellion at the train station. It was quite a gripping scene. I thought they were going to shoot each other, but they didn't. That was this one here, Urchin Easternizer. Now we've got Pori Ashfasal K, the assassin. What's he up to? Following the clues he gathered from the Bucker's Cellar Bay, Pori found a leather shop run by Warnock Brothers was on the Bondo Street. He knew very well that they may be expecting him, but he is always prepared. Ooh, exciting. Bondo 70. Pori is standing in the back alley as he looks up at the sign. That gangster wasn't lying. It is noon, the time when most shops are busy. The alleyways are cramped with terrible odors. The Warnock Brothers leather shop is located in such an unpleasant environment that even the brightest sunlight cannot penetrate the tall buildings on either side to illuminate the wet walls. No one wants to go down this path, and the shop's large signboards does not seem to be much of a profitable strategy either. Instead, it only attracts the watchful eyes of strangers. He pushes the door open after confirming the name and number. The crisp sound that echoes breaks the silence in the air. The bell does not resonate a welcoming ring, but rather a cue alarming a hunter of his prey stepping into the trap. Yeah, something like that. Good morning, sir. Can I help you? As soon as he's inside the shop, a figure vaguely comes into sight. Pori takes a quick glance at the man, and immediately he could now confirm that he is here. The man standing in the shadows is the elder brother of the Warnocks, Gwiller. He looks exactly like the photo, as if Gwiller has just crawled straight out of it. The light that enters through the door and the window only illuminates as far as the 5 steps from the entrance, and the rest of the light comes from a yellow lamp on the display table. He is standing close to the darkest corner of the leather shop, right on the other side of the line, way far from Porley. Gwiller leans against the wooden display table. Nearly half of his well-toned body is completely submerged in the shadows. The yellow light illuminates his high nose and rugged brows, giving off an ineffable air. At the same time, he looks into Porley's eyes with an indescribable rage. Just looking around. Porley nods towards his target and averts his eyes casually at the shop's furnishings. He scans the various and odd objects. He stops at one point, pretending to be interested in a wallet hanging on the wall. He takes a few steps forward and inspects the depth of the room in the corner of his eyes. From the look of how it is decorated, the shop is as simple as any other ordinary leather shop. The painted walls are studded with a variety of leather goods, all hanging neatly in equal rows. In front of the back wall is a black walnut display table, where the shopkeeper presumably placed all the precious goods that are not suitable for hanging and the knives for the customers to choose from. Other than that, they too are the only people in this shop.
Oh?
They are the only 2 people in this shop. That should have read. Lost? We're always keen to attend to our customers. However, I must say it's rare for a new guest like you to come in. I don't think it is my shop's popularity and reputation that led you here. Polly looks straight back at Gwiller. The pair of green eyes appear to be reflecting some sort of determination. He is, as a matter of fact, judging who and what Polly actually is.
Mojestiras.
Because a friend told me yesterday that I can't get what I'm looking for here.
Clue.
I see. Then have you found it, sir? Gwiller is no longer leaning against the table with ease. His right foot moves slightly, making the wooden floor creak. Porley prepared himself, moving and positioning his feet so to lower his centre of mass. The incident that happened the day before must have reached him. Gwiller may have been waiting for Porley to come. For a moment, it felt like time had stopped. The two men tensed, the muscles in their body up, ready to rush into battle. Oh, this is so exciting, guys. The air around them has gotten heavier by each passing second. Neither of them takes the first move, as if two opposing soldiers waiting for their signal. Yes, I have. Everything in the store suddenly comes back to life. Two men in the opposite corners finally take their move almost at the same instant. Glur, with his sturdy posture and agility, pounces on Porley, and the young hunter swiftly ducks forward, dodging his attack. His right hand reaches into his coat and immediately wraps his fingers around the hunting knife handled firmly, all in less than 2 seconds. A loud crash chimed in due to Glur's sudden assault. He knocks the tables off, where almost everything falls to the ground because of the force and the hefty jolt. Glur steps on the I have to slow down. I can't keep up with the speed of this pace. Glur steps on that. It doesn't help that the English is just so messed up sometimes. Glur steps on that leather bag has fallen on the ground and turns slowly like a tiger, adjusting his stance to face Porley. Now the two have switched sides. Porley positions his knife in front of him, with the other hand positioned at a slightly lower angle, keeping the distance between him and Glur at a manageable and safe range. Noticing the knife in Porley's hand, Glur sings forward to strike Porley's leg area, but it's merely a trick, and he reaches for the knife on the display instead. Oh, he feints! He jives! He ducks! He jukes! But Porley doesn't give him a chance. He takes a quick step towards the display and pointed his knife straight at Glur's throat. Here! Glur immediately withdraws his hand. Within less than a second gap, he lowers his stance as he charges towards Porley. To his dismay, it is just exactly what the blue-eyed hunter had anticipated. Porley changes his target. He knocks the entire display shelf with his right leg. Numerous knives and daggers abruptly fall down onto the floor far from Glur, causing ear-splitting noises. Porley is now standing between Glur and a handful of weaponries behind him. Just like every mission of his in the past, no backups, no returns. The thought of having to fight for each other's own lives triggered their predatory instincts. It has escalated to the survival of the fittest, where only one could survive. Instead of recklessly throwing a punch at Porley, Glur changes his tactic. As he thrusts forward, his hand reaches out for Porley's knife. Glur has an advantage in size and arm length. Even the hunter tries to retreat a few steps back. Glur still has taken a grasp of Porley's hand. Porley could feel the tinge of a sharp pain coming from Glur's grip, reminding Porley that his opponent might be out for something more than breaking bones here and there. In a flash, Porley forcefully retracts his right hand, which is holding the knife, back towards his chest. With his right foot behind him, he pivots his body around at a 180-degree angle. The sharp and forceful move made Glur lose his balance and stumble forward. At the exact same moment, Porley extends his other right arm behind Glur and shoves him rather harshly. Glur staggers and trips heavily into the pile of knives on the ground, groaning with pain. He's probably been stabbed by either one of the knives. But Porley does not bother to approach him. He simply stands there and watches Glur struggling to support and get his heavy body back up onto his feet with his right hand, while his left appears to have held a knife. It is part of Porley's strategy. If Glur succeeded before, Porley would have been disarmed. However, if he had failed, they both would have weapons in their hands. Either situation will make it once again a pretty fair fight. But it isn't Glur's only goal. The tough man sinks back, opening his mouth slowly. He's praying or something. Please grant me my humble wish. Bestow me the greatness of the unhuman, and let me witness the end of my enemy. It was a song. The melody still fills the room quickly, and the indoor air gushes out its origin. Glur's throat along with the sound of lyrics. Such wind starts whirling and blowing in this small shop. Oh, what the fuck? He transformed. Glur seems to be absorbing every single particles in the room. Almost immediately, his body starts to show signs of transformation. His spine, painted in the colour of the blood, protrudes from his back, while the veins swell underneath his skin. The tension that his shirt has to sustain as his body mutates to an inhuman proportion rip the stretches in frightening speed, revealing the swelling flesh of the inhuman body beneath it. Is some kind of... Damn it. What the hell is he? Some kind of were-beast. Fortunately, Gwler doesn't grow extra limbs to distract Porley. His red, bloodshot eyes stare at him. At the corner of his eyes, Porley takes a quick glance at the knife that Gwler is holding. It's not a hunting knife, nor does it have a double-edged blade. Silence may have once again fell over the shop. The only sound they could hear is the air blowing through the papers stuck on the wall. As if both of them are standing in the middle of a vast expanse of land in the blink of an eye. The wind coming from Gwler's direction indicates as though there'd be 1,000 armies marching toward them following the song, swallowing their prey alive. Gwler wastes no time as he charges towards Porley with the knife in his hand. The gap between them closes fast. Fastly. Oh, the English in this game is hilarious. Porley has to hold his hand up to parry the attacks, his blade pointing outwardly. At the same time, he throws a punch at Gwler with his left hand. Tear? Porley could feel a tear on his left hand the moment his knuckles have made contact with Gwler, but the pain is short-lived. His frown immediately subsides, as if the pain had never been there. Unfortunately, despite the instant receding pain, it still takes a toll on his left arm. He could not raise it higher than his line of sight. The old scar on his collarbone always reminds him of the suffering he had gone through. With his right hand being blocked, Gwler throws a violent hit onto the side of Porley's face with his left hand. Porley instinctively lifts up his right hand, once again parrying Gwler's attack as he keeps his defensive stance steady. His right wrist closes in with his left as he slides backwards, widening the gap between him and Gwler. Within a mere millisecond, however, he dives forward, closing the distance with the creature before him. As he does so, he has the blade of his knife thrusting towards his opponent's chest. All of his attacks are simple and precise. With Porley's agility and knife skills, hitting the enemy's vital part is a piece of cake. Gwler forces himself to pull away, but ended up struggling because of his size. His inhuman mass puts pressures on the floor every time he takes an unsteady step backwards, making the wooden planks creak. Porley doesn't give him a chance to breathe. He swiftly flips the blade to the side and goes straight for Gwler's stomach. A silver light reflected from the blade flashes across Gwler's eyes. When he sees it coming, he holds out his left hand to grab the knife, and his right hand goes to grab Porley's hand. Fooled ya. It was a feint. Porley quickly grabs Gwler's right... Are we attacking Gwler or are we pulling away? We're going to attack him. Porley quickly grabs Gwler's right wrist with his left hand before Gwler could even act further. Gwler still has his left hand before his stomach following the trick Porley pulled off. In the exact same timing, Porley stabs Gwler in the neck with the tip of the knife. Veins appear to have protruded on Gwler's right hand, perhaps due to the pressure and stress exerted on it as he desperately tries to free himself from the hunter. Though his strength is beyond the hunter's imagination, but Porley doesn't want to let go the chance. Man, this English is so broken. Eh? Seizing the creature's move also takes the toll on Porley's arm. Not long after, Gwler's hand slips out of Porley's grip. Every single neuron in his brain is telling him that his right arm has reached its limit as the pain crawls back in. He takes one look at his right arm where several deep bloody claw marks have been engraved onto his skin. Okay, so we got injured. Maybe we should have backed off. Porley takes a step back and stares at his prey. It's not going to be good if he could not end this fight quickly. It's about time to settle everything right there and then. Wasting no time to contemplate on a strategy, Porley tightens his grip of the knife and once again dashes towards Gwler, who has been standing firmly on his feet all the while Porley strives to get hold of himself due to his injury. This time, however, Gwler swiftly swings his knife upward as Porley comes closer. At that moment, Gwler may seem to have won the battle, especially now that Porley's injured arm is exposed. It has become a vulnerable point to his attacks. Given the state of it, Porley's injured arm couldn't withstand his next attack, which could cut through the wrist and eventually cut off his artery. Should he succeed, the uninvited guest's blood will spurt and paint the shop in red. But this time, the table has turned once more. Porley makes a quick leap. At that moment, Porley looks down at Gwler. These names are so hard to pronounce as well, it does not help. The green eyes reflect on it. Why can't he just be called David? David and Fred. David looks down at Fred. The green eyes reflect his own calm and indifferent face as any veteran hunter who is currently facing an uninspiring battle. The next second, David falls back down, putting his whole weight on Fred's right hand. And in spite of this constantly bleeding arm, he swings a kick at Fred. Then he immediately turns around and shuts his forearm together to stop the blade from turning back towards him. They have never been closer to each other. Porley's knife had easily tears the skin of... What? Porley's knife easily tears the skin and flesh open. The sudden vibration in the air caused by Porley's quick and harsh movements gave Gwler's ears a shock. It was so sharp and clear. A mixture of gases floating in the air might have made contact with his flesh and veins which are torn open. Gwler, who is badly bleeding, soon loses his resistance and sinks to the ground. He could feel that his throat is trembling as he groans in pain, but the only sound he can produce is somewhat a hollow bellow. The hunter shakes the blade and wipes the blood clean. The voice and illusions he had seen have faded away. With the owner's death, they all lose the connection to the reality. The shop is finally calm again. Over time, a tinge of sunlight penetrates through the glass on the door and onto the floor, creating a golden circle silhouette on the floor. Man, that was chaotic. That was exciting. That was brutal. I loved it. Every second of it. Porley taps the wall with his index and middle fingers, but it doesn't sound like there's any hidden door concealed beneath it. He also breaks into the locked drawers of the desk, which is filled with leather store accounts with nothing of value. At least it looks as if the store is still in earnest. Porley shifts his attention to the floor as he clears the walls. He cuts the carpet by the cash register. Not surprisingly, after hitting the floorboards, a hollow can be found underneath the board, telling him where he needs to go next. The basement. He opens the floor and finds a wooden staircase beneath him. He places one foot down on the staircase to make sure it's sturdy enough to support his weight. He then takes the stairs down cautiously. Oh man, this is messed up. So this is what they did to the other people. They had like a torture chamber beneath their store. The basement is a horrible mess. The floor is littered with blood. Some of the blood even spills onto the steps. Some of the blood marks have started to fade away in this cold winter after the countless massacres. The hunter quickly observes the dark premise. The dried skin and gut strings are displayed on a wooden table. He doesn't need to look closely to determine that they are of humans, and he is already familiar with the smell. It is not known how many bodies have been cut and dismembered here and have been the victims of this series of atrocities. Interesting, I didn't know that. He proceeds to go deeper. The sticky blood clinging to the soles of his boots makes it harder for him to walk. In the corner of the sunless basement is a still dark figure. He lays in disarray on the floor, making it difficult to tell whether he is still alive or not. As he gets closer to the figure, at one point Porley is convinced that it is a corpse of a young man. The poor lad's face is buried in the dust, with his remaining organs laid down in the open. Porley lowers his gaze, taking a closer look at the body. He is used to it. Without hesitation, he pulls the body by the shoulder and turns him over. Is it Raven? It must be a nightmare. This particular method of killing is something that Porley is familiar with. First, tie the victim's hands behind him together. Next, make a cut through the middle of the ribs, then drag it down to the bottom, cutting through the meat and even bones. Is that Raven? I can't tell. Porley lightly pats the dust away from the boy's face. It is in fact the face of a young man he knew well enough. The poor young man must have experienced an inexplicable death. The frozen muscle of the lad's frown on his forehead tells how painful his death must have been. He is now taller in size and shorter in hair than Porley's memories of him, but his clean and nerdy dress style remain all the same. That suit that Porley gifted him now seems so dusty that it barely shows the original colour anymore. Yeah, I think it's Raven. Oh, that's Porley standing there looking down at the body. That's Raven the body, I see, okay. Porley has called out his name countless times over the years, but in the face of horror the hunter had almost lost all of his courage to repeat his name. Out of habit, the hunter caresses the deceased lad's forehead with his leather glove. Raven, yeah, it is Raven. He isn't supposed to be here. Why did he... No. He suddenly remembers.
Yashon.
Job on site now. What time are you free? We haven't seen each other for ages. Porley leans against the booth and looks down at the shops that are closed. A full moon can be seen in the distance, decorating the night sky. In front of Porley is the young man he grew up with. Thin, small, always smiling at him with his hands tugged at his scarves. With his hands tugged in his scarves, with amber eyes that could reflect quite a shine. They're just like actual blood-related brothers. Remembering the old times made him chuckle out of joy. They haven't seen each other for nearly 2 years, ever since Raven came to Illy for a refresher course. He doesn't know if he got any taller, but he's going to have to ask him out and take... a closer look. Ooh.
Sterile.
Not for these 2 days. There's an autopsy in the morning and an exam in 2 days. Ah, okay. So he called him on the first day that we did, the 5th. Otherwise, I'm free. Why don't you call me when you're done? We can go to some shops downtown and you'll like it there.
Mm-hmm.
Autopsy? Ah, here's the thing. On the other end of the line, Raven was still excitedly introducing him about the invitation he had received a few hours earlier. Porley raised his eyebrows in silence. He heard only the first few words, and knew that this was the police's case. With all the files he knew about the Warnock brothers' signature of slaughtering their victims, it was supposed to be a mere coincidence. It should be the only chance he had to stop him from doing the autopsy. Not only did he miss the chance, he even took advantage of it. This must be the only reason that Raven became the Warnock brothers' target. Porley kneels in a pool of blood, torn and tormented by endless remorse and anger. Raven. Though the battle might be over, the survivor hangs his head like a fallen sinner, with his hands trembling so violently. After a while, he picks up the body that is no longer warm and let the organs hang on the blood-stained knees. Gross. The young man in his arms has his eyes closed shut, nor is he giving any sign of life. The hunter knows that there is not even a single chance for him to repent. Oh, that's really sad. Oh, we got the bad end. We got Murderous Chain. Okay. So, we just got the bad end. Raven got murdered, and Gwiller got murdered. Everybody got murdered, and we got the bad end, basically. Interesting. Can we continue? No game data. So what happens if we load the day of the 5th? Okay, so it's all the same there. What about day 6? Okay, so now we've got 6 karma points. I'm just wondering if we should skip this, because this is the story about Letzeriel going to the church to in order to find the newspapers. The only choice that we can make that makes a difference here is whether Letzeriel gets on the tram or not. I'm just going to skip through this because we've read all this already. I just want to see if deciding to go on the tram makes a difference. So we're not going to... We're not going to buy the newspaper off the kid this time. Get out of here, you little whelp. I don't want your newspaper. We're gonna not buy a newspaper. So that's different now. Sorry, not interested. Maybe try your luck at the tram station. Oh, okay. Good luck, sir. Letzeriel rubs his face and lets out a sigh. He has to save for the tram. St. Godhrkar Academy is a long way. Okay, so now the story is different. Otherwise, considering his ankle, he would need to ask Sandra to get him back in a wheelchair. After seeing off the newsboy, Letzeriel climbs onto the waiting platform. As one of the first cities to build their own railways in Promland, Thalizak has its most complicated railway network in the country. There aren't many differences between the city trams and trains, for they all travel on same train tracks, and crisscrossing power grid is immersed in the smoke emitted by the train. No other city has such a peculiar transportation network. No other city has such a unique network of transportation. You just said that. When he first came to the city, Letzeriel has been curious about it, but now he is used to it. When Letzeriel makes it onto the tram, he sits on an empty seat by the window and yanks the stained glass window open. The air in the tram is unpleasant, hot and humid and muddy. Okay, this is a new character. Who's she? As the tram starts, his ears pick up a low sobbing. Letzeriel turns his head and sees a little girl sitting opposite him next to her father. She tugs at her skirt, displaying a pair of moist eyes and a red nose.
Brisira.
I've told you before, haven't I? You should not... No, sir, I really am sorry. I won't do it again.
Argie.
No, not another word. What good will sorry do now? You should not be... What? You should not beg Chapel's confessor at all. No, sir. The man looks at his daughter, and the suppressed exasperation on his face becomes a mixture of anxiety and disappointment. Then he sighs. My dear, you don't know why, and you don't know a thing. What if something... I can't afford to lose again, I just can't. Dad. As he mutters, the man breaks down, his rage turning to sorrow. Letzeriel looks out the window at the street view. All he can hear is the sobbing of the little girl. A tram is a microcosm of the life in the city where everything happens every day. We have arrived at St. Godhrkar station. Please take all your belongings and exit in sequence. You can transfer to Thaiza at this station. Letzeriel squeezes through the crowd of people who had gotten out of the tram. It is much colder than expected outside, so he wraps his coat around himself and hurries across the street to St. Godhrkar's gate. Okay, so I'm assuming the rest of this is the same now. So catching the tram doesn't make a difference. Finally, Letzeriel arrives at the library. He's immediately able to see Sandra. Oh-yo! Yeah, we've seen all this before. Pokes her in the face, she starts laughing. I want help getting the newspapers. And he goes and finds that someone is trying to deliberately cover up whatever happened in the newspapers. Yeah. Okay, so all of this is the same as well, apart from this here. This is different, apparently, which is Let's Ariel. Okay. So Letzeriel was busy preparing for the opening of the Rosemary after nightfall. His friend Yanni came along claiming he knows a way to find out the truth Letzeriel is after. So that's different. Before he went to visit the Truth Seeker because she was leaving the apartment. Yes, Aerith decides to visit the Truth Seeker, the column writer, to stop the rumors from spreading. So Aerith visits the Truth Seeker and then leaves the apartment just as Letzeriel is arriving in the previous playthrough. In this one, Letzeriel doesn't go to see the Truth Seeker. He doesn't bother, and he's obviously setting up the pub, the bar, for another night. So this is different. This is new, whatever we're about to read here. Just a little more. Letzeriel walks into the little nook at Rosemary. He prowls around the bar, his bloodshot dry eyes on display, thanks to working the night shift and drinking excessive coffee. Outside the window, the sun is slowly setting, but he struggles to clean the bar in his exhaustion. This is the third time he's wiped the desk and chair. As a waiter, especially one who works at a bar, his job is often challenging, to say the least. Yeah, I can relate to that. Almost every waiter will come across a customer who will not tolerate even a speck of dust along the tables or chairs. As he is about to put the now dirty cloth away, the sound of an opening door cuts through the silence. Letzeriel hardly glances behind him as he tosses the cloth into the basin, then gets a better look. Sorry, we're not open. Oh, you're just in time. I'm exhausted. Come and wash this rag for me.
Twanyak!
Yanni's got like the same coloured hair as he does. They look identical, in fact. Even got the same. Well, he's wearing a jacket, he's wearing a waistcoat, but still. Screw yourself, Let's. Do your own work, but forget the rag. I have some helpful little tidbits of information for you. Information? Letzeriel raises his eyebrow. The excitement makes him alert, all exhaustion and stress instantly fading away. Don't look at me as though you know what I'm going to say. I've got a good place to take you. Letzeriel quirks his brow again, hesitating for a moment. A part of him is intrigued, but Yenny likes to fool around. However, the intelligence network of a gangster cannot be underestimated, so maybe he's really got something interesting.
Go away.
Good to know, but I'm about to start work soon. Can this wait till after my shift?
Kairos!
Hell no it can't. I've got stuff to do outside of drinking in a bar and waiting for you.
Sendomia.
Well, colour me impressed, Yaney. You're a really busy man. Shut up. Anyway, enough of that. There are others I can take there if you don't want to hear more about it. I'm leaving, but this is your once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Aren't you curious even in the slightest bit? That's harsh, man. He can't just skip out on work and ditch his job just to gallivant off with you into some unknown mysterious surprise. That's very unreasonable. Letzeriel finds it hard to say no. It's torture. However, the curious human nature wins. He knows it probably won't end well, but he just can't help himself. Fine, I give up. Where are we going? Just know that you can't drag me out of work next time, you understand? I'm super busy.
That's...
Come on, take a break. Your boss is really a cheapskate, huh? You overwork yourself every night, but he doesn't care if you die of exhaustion. I mean, the bar doesn't even have a backup. Letzeriel interrupts his rant by dragging him aside, then tells one of his colleagues to take his shift and finish cleaning the bar. Tells his colleagues. He doesn't even ask his colleagues. It's not like, please, can you look after my shift? I really have to go do this. It's an emergency. He just tells one of his colleagues to take his shift. Nice. He politely tries to request time off, but Yaney is already dragging a stumbling Letzeriel out of Rosemary. With no difficult guests lurking on the open street outside and no dirty rags or stale coffee stains in sight, Letzeriel looks up at the faint light of the sky, breathing in the chilly air. He doesn't like being a bartender very much. If it wasn't for his job, he wouldn't survive in the holy city, but Yaney always objects to how hard he works. Not that Letzeriel doesn't know it's a terrible waste of time washing rags and cleaning spills, but he has no choice. Yep, I can relate to that as well. I know exactly what he's talking about, having worked in bars and restaurants pretty much my whole life. The two walk briskly along the street. After nearly 10 minutes, Letzeriel follows Yaney through the depths of a rather unremarkable alley until they reach their destination. Oh, he's at a psychic
Yoda.
shack. Here we are.
Huh?
Huh? A psychic?
Fifio.
Fifio! And not just any psychic. This one's darn famous and supposedly accurate too. You may want to consider it. Look at Letzeriel's face. Look at that face. That is picturesque. Beautiful. I love it. A psychic? Did Yaney drag him out here to play a stupid prank on him? Letzeriel didn't know whether to laugh or be angry. But here they are. He wasn't actively looking for a fortune teller, though he doesn't want to let Yaney down. She's a well-known astrologer, right? Maybe she really does have the power to help him discover his past. No, it can't be true. How could such a miracle happen in real life? Letzeriel shakes his head, as he could not in any way put his hopes in such nebulous things.
Hi.
Come on, dude.
Joe.
Are you sure you didn't drag me here because you chickened out on the real place?
Steered star?
Well, Sierra's star, sort of. He got him. Yaney glares at Letzeriel, who is laughing at him. Letzeriel makes an effort to hold back, but Yaney has already opened the gate. Letzeriel follows him up the worn stone steps leading to the room. The place looks like it's a witch's store straight out of a novel, with various animal skulls hanging on the walls and ceilings. There are dried herbs in glass bottles, some filled with unknown ores and other with powder, strewn around the room haphazardly. Sandalwood incense burns in a corner. The psychic ignores the two young men. She's sitting on a futon, serving her current guest. The duo stand and observe her unobtrusively while they wait their turn. She is a Lana in her 40s with a dark complexion, large black mole on the left side of her nose, a bright silk dress underneath a robe, and a string of gold and silver bracelets dangling around her wrist. She uses her long black-coated nails to move a crystal ball. Thank you for guiding me, Master. Thank you very much. Letzeriel sees the middle-aged man stand and weep, but he has no idea what the psychic said. The guest repeats his thanks and leaves the store before the woman finally looks at them.
A line twisted.
Welcome, lost souls. Sit down and tell me what you want to know.
Steered star?
Well...
Clea?
About love, right? As Yaney looks utterly taken aback, Letzeriel pushes him down on the chair, patting his shoulder. Ignoring Yaney's glare, he laughs at the psychic.
Line Russ.
My friend wants to know which girl will pick up his hand with all that mud under his nails. Yaney opens his mouth in an attempt to refute, whether about the divination or to clarify about his personal hygiene. Letzeriel isn't sure. Yaney takes a quick look at the psychic and nervously decides to shut up before accidentally spewing any curse words. If there's one thing I like about young people, it's your passion for love. In places like this, they are willing to pay... Ahem. Never mind. Sit closer and I'll show you. Yaney wriggles uncomfortably. He hesitates, trying to decide whether he should drag the chair forward or just get up to walk. In the end, he nestles with the middle ground. He leans forward as far as he can, struggling to maintain his delicate balance with his hips and legs glued to the edge of his seat. Letzeriel looks away, barely hiding a laugh. The psychic turns on the crystal ball and lets it shine through the small area. For a moment the room is ablaze with flickering lights, and the odd animal skulls seem almost ready to come to life. Let me see, who is your Miss Right? Votru's love enfolds her. She has the joy of purity, not the joy of earthly delights. The heart of faith is strong as a rock, and is as pure as snow. Yanni lets out a horrified scream.
Ah!
A nun?
Yane!
Don't look so glum. Could be a seminary student. That's just a nun trainee. The red-haired boy leans ever closer. It is incredible that Zariel thought he had already reached his limit.
Tch?
So, Master, how do I steal her from Votru?
Oh.
Sorry, I am not an expert on romance. Please, Master, if you can see the future, there must be a way. The psychic sighs. Well, I usually don't meddle in the future of my guests, but you, young man, I like you, and very few people can truly appreciate the wonders of my divination. What am I about to offer you is for the sake of your sincerity. Yanni is practically worshipping her. The psychic rummages under the table, and when she straightens up, she has a fancy box in her hand. Use this. Yanni takes it in both hands and lifts the cover with a reverent look.
Huh?
What's this? Looks like a stocking to me.
Steer.
It just looks like some
star.
stockings, doesn't it, Master? I'm sorry, I don't understand its true purpose. Could you... Indeed, it is stockings. She smooths her robes and adjusts her position on the seat in a similar way to Yanni.
Oh, Sie.
This is all I could find. I mean, look at this fabric, this embroidery. Even Votru's servants couldn't resist something so exquisite. Besides, she raises her voice as if she has finally found a good reason. It's a bit conspicuous to wear compared to the typical cheap accessories, but this is picturesque. It could be because you want her to feel comfortable with herself, so this would be your victory weapon. She nods in a matter-of-fact way and leans back again, leaving the two men dumbfounded.
Whoa!
Look at you. It's Ariel's face again. That face, I love it. You're right, you're absolutely right. I'll take it as long as I can afford it. How much do I owe you? The psychic holds up 5 fingers. 50 thil. That's more than half their monthly allowance. Ariel covers his face. He had sold them before. Whites and stockings were the best-selling product in Godhrkar, but even with the tax, they were only 15 thil. Poor Yanni. However, Yanni had already pulled out his wallet and is counting his life savings. He's not going to be stopped. Zariel has seen enough of these charlatans. Maybe Yanni needs to learn the hard way. As Yanni continues to thank the psychic, admiring her divination, Zariel is already calculating how long his salary would last if Yanni were to borrow money from him.
Let's.
Glow?
What? That face again.
Steria.
You need to help me. Before Zariel knows what's happening, Yanni puts the stockings in his hands.
Clie!
What are you doing? I thought about it. Between the two of us, you're the one who most often visits the St. Godhrkar seminary. It'll be easier for you to meet Miss Wright, to give her this and tell her it's from me.
Huh?
Have you thought this through at all? Please reconsider this. You have to help me with this sheltered nun, or else I'll regret it for the rest of my life.
Clear?
Listen to your bullshit and how ridiculous you sound. Let go of me. You can never argue with this idiot, Ariel thinks in despair. The stockings are already in his bag. Not only that, but he is pinned to his chair by Yanni as the psychic performs the crystal ball trick for the second time. Divining for yourself and your family. Let us see. Her nails click on the crystal ball as she peers into the mist and mumbles. In an instant, her expression changes. Her eyebrows twist into an odd, almost painful shape. She stares at him, her eyes sunken and dilated as if her guess was a cloud of mystical incense. A storm is brewing and rain is falling. Knives are glinting. A calamity awaits you.
Glow?
What? He pauses for a moment, almost bewildered by the sudden change of atmosphere, but after that premonition, he is well aware of the psychic's bullshit. This psychic is either a liar or a lunatic. He should have known not to believe this lady. She better have something more to say because she's testing his patience. Suddenly she peeks at him through the crystal and huffs out a sigh. She raises her right hand, points her black-nailed index finger at Zerial and gives him an intense stare.
Antendo stero.
The invisible Sempal is watching you. The invisible Sempal is looking for you, even when the token is lost. But finally, it will save you from a horrible chaos. And you will surely bring both miracles and misery. Seriously, what the heck is that supposed to mean?
Let's.
Clear.
You have lost family, haven't you? I can feel it, under the smoke, burnt by fire. Zerial freezes on the spot. A heavy heart pounds in his chest. What do you know? But the psychic stops talking, and Zerial feels a dark pit in his anger rise in the depth of his heart. Damn these charlatans! Does she really think he would believe this nonsense? Her words are deliberately baffling and vague, as any swindler would explain, to make them seem both mysterious and easy to twist into what her hearer desires, no matter what ridiculous things actually will get better or worse for the poor customers. Frustrated, Zerial sighs and runs a hand through his hair. But in the end, the strange voice of the psychic, husky and soothing, rises up again like a ghost peeking through the smoke.
Respondendo asteros superintone.
But under the ashes, your bloodline has yet not disappeared completely from this land. Interesting. So his blood, he still has relatives. That last final bit, she revealed that he still has relatives in this land somewhere. She said his blood has not yet been left from this land, so he's still got relatives to hunt down. I think we should probably do Raven's Day 7 again, Day 6 again, to find out. Now that we've got karma points, we can choose to not go down the main street this time and not get murdered, which I think will change Day 7. But guys, we're running out of time for this episode, so I'm going to wrap things up here for now. At the start of next episode, what I'll do is check Day 7 to see if anything else is different about it. And if not, I'll come back to Day 6 and do Raven's story once again and choose the right path, hopefully, to not let him get murdered, which will hopefully change the ending and Day 7 altogether. But as I said, I'm running out of time for this episode, guys, so I'm going to wrap things up here for now and call it quits. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching the episode, guys. I do hugely appreciate it, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed playing. That was a really exciting one. We got a lot done. Well, we only got 2 chapters done, but they were both pretty riveting and pretty interesting. Even though we got the bad ending, we're still good to go and carry on. So hopefully I will see you in the next episode. I produce content every single day, so peace out till next time.